Good morning to everyone. My name is Jerry Shockey, and I oversee all the youth and educational programs here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, and it's our honor and privilege to be able to bring to you our Heart of the Hall of Famer series featuring Pro Football Hall of Famer Bruce Smith. I got it right this time. So, but you know, the idea of this program, and I see we have some new schools that are involved with this. So the real idea behind this program is to convey what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond just the athletic ability. We know that Mr. Smith and our other Hall of Famers are great examples of athleticism and talent and skill and all those things. But at the core that made them great and made them successful not only on the field but off the field in every life endeavor, anything that they choose to do, is their character. And those 6 pillars that you guys are studying, the trustworthiness, the respect, the responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship, those are at the core of what makes them great. And you guys have the great opportunity to ask one of the greatest defensive players of all time, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame from the class of 2009, to ask questions of him today about what obstacles he faced and what challenges when he was in middle school or high school, and those types of questions. So we really encourage you guys to ask those thought-provoking questions here today. But a program like this can't take place as we talk about pro football and we talk about being the ultimate team sport. Well, we have an ultimate team put together here to make this program possible. And the first of those folks are Norfolk Public Schools. Thank you very much, the administration there, for opening the door at all your high schools, allowing us to set up equipment there and broadcast this out to you guys. So we appreciate that as well. And that goes to especially Booker T. Washington High School. Mr. Kevin Monroe there, the principal there at Booker T. Thank you for hosting Mr. Smith, and thank you to the students that are there ready to ask some questions. So we appreciate your involvement. We definitely have to thank our friends at Cisco for making this connection possible here today. Darren Hannum, Regis Dean, Dennis Vogler, Kevin Sickle. There's a number of other folks involved that are spread out all over Norfolk, I think, making this connection happen. So thank you very much for your time today and making this program possible. And last but definitely not least, we always have to thank our friends at eTech Ohio through our State Department of Education. They are the ones that bridge all these Heart of the Hall of Famers for us and help make these connections possible. So we appreciate our great folks at the State Department of Education for supporting Ohio schools and content providers like us as well. We definitely need to thank our teachers that are out there, all the teachers that are connecting in. You've made a lot of arrangements to make this connection possible for your students. We greatly appreciate that. But last but definitely not least, we need to thank the students that are involved. We've seen some of the questions you guys have submitted, and we're looking forward to you being able to ask those questions. And you'll have probably about 40 minutes at the end of this to ask those questions of Mr. Smith. So we'd like to thank you guys for coming up with those questions. What we want to do, though, is give you all an opportunity to recognize where you're from. Feel free to give a school shout-out when I call upon your school. So not only one, that Mr. Smith can see where you guys are coming from and actually see you guys, but number two, so all the students across the country can see, you know, who's where and what age and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, we're going to start there in Booker T. Washington High School. And again, Mr. Smith, if you want to go ahead and plug your ears, go ahead. Let's see if they do better than the first group. Go ahead and give a shout out, Booker T. Yeah! Okay. Yeah! Just so you guys know, it looks like different students, so you guys outshine your earlier class. So you guys get the A for the day. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Uniontown High School, go ahead. Uniontown?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How we do it?
You got a lot more kids than students, I should say, young men and women there. You get a lot more students, so I'm going to give you a B on that one. Hi, let's go to Montana. Highwood Public.
Hi.
Not bad. And let's go to New York, North Tonawanda. I think they're big Bruce Smith fans there.
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, and 2.
I think you guys have Mr. Smith's podium from his enshrinement speech there. I think you've constructed it. So, that's cool. I like that. I like the enthusiasm. And let's see if the schools from Norfolk got connected. Did Morey High School, or did you guys get connected? Norview? Or Lake Taylor? Okay, well, hopefully they will be getting connected, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get the introduction to Pro Football Hall of Famer Mr. Bruce Smith. And what we like to do when we break these down, or I should say what I like to do when I break these down, is I like to break them down by on the field, off the field, and then I kind of make a third category, charitable, because charitable works. So I think that's really where a lot of our Hall of Famers shine, and with all the foundations and organizations that they're involved with on the charitable level. So we like to break those down into three different areas. First, on the field, he was the Bills' first-round draft pick, the first overall player in the 1985 NFL Draft, considered one of the most dominant defensive players in NFL history. His 200 career sacks is still an NFL all-time record. Might be one of those that might not be touched for a long time. He recorded, now this is to me even more amazing, I guess, is recorded 10 or more sacks in an NFL record 13 seasons. That's just amazing to me. NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 1990, 1996. He was named not to just one, but two all-decade teams of the 1980s and 1990s. He was first or second team All-Pro 11 times and was also selected to 11 Pro Bowls. And he was born in Norfolk, Virginia. Off the field, Mr. Smith is currently the president of Bruce Smith Enterprise, which is a minority-owned commercial real estate firm that focuses on the development of quality mixed-use projects. Mr. Smith, along with Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas and a number of other groups, are a part of Legends Energy Group, which they administer and market demand response, energy procurement, energy efficiency services to industrial, commercial, and retail customers on a global level. On the charitable side, Mr. Smith in 1999, along with Operation Smile, which is an organization that helps kids across the globe that have facial deformities like cleft lips and stuff like cleft palates and things like that. He took a mission trip with them to Kenya as part of their World Journey of Hope. In 2007, he did the USO tour, where he spent Christmas and New Year's with our troops in Baghdad and Kuwait. He has a passion, obviously, for helping his community that he was raised in, Norfolk, Virginia, and there's a number of things that Mr. Smith is involved with in the Norfolk, Virginia area. He's a member of Queen Street Baptist Church. He not only provides scholarships to that church, but also to students at Booker T. Washington, has provided to attend Virginia Tech. He is married with one son. So before we ask him to share his opening remarks, what we will do is play you guys a little video bio.
Defensive player in history was more feared over the course of his 19-year career than Bruce Smith. The first overall selection in the 1985 NFL Draft, Smith paid immediate dividends for the Bills and was named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Smith's 200 career sacks are the most in NFL history, and his 13 seasons with 10 or more sacks is also an NFL record.
Montana drops back in the pocket, Bruce is after him, and the ball is intercepted.
In a career recognized for longevity and productivity, Smith was named to the NFL's All-Decade team for both the 1980s and 1990s.
And if all the schools can unmute your microphones for a second and join me and give a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer Mr. Bruce Smith. And Mr. Smith, the microphone is yours. I want to remind all the schools to please keep your microphones muted throughout the program until we call upon you. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. I want to thank everyone for participating in this event, and certainly want to thank all the schools from around the country and North Tonawanda, and it's certainly a pleasure to be back here at my alma mater, Booker T. Washington High School, and thanks to all the teachers and coaches and Kevin Monroe and the principal here at Booker T. Washington, as well as Norfolk Public Schools and so many others for allowing this program to take place this morning. As I mentioned this morning, some devastating news that has taken place with the death of one of my friends, a dear friend, Junior Seau. There's a message to be learned in life and in death. Unfortunately, you know, we won't have an or I won't have an opportunity to find out what exactly was going on in his mind in this horrible event that took place. But what I'd like to share with the young man and even the young women as we go through this process this morning, there are going to be a tremendous amount of struggles and obstacles in life. Don't go through them alone. When you're having issues, when you have something that weighs heavily on your mind, don't keep it inside of you. Talk to someone about it. Talk to adults. Talk to someone that's older and wiser that may be able to help you through these trying times that may exist within your lifetime. We don't know what exactly was on Junior's mind at the time, or what had been taking place prior to those days leading up to May 2nd, but it troubles not only myself but members of the NFL and his family that no one knew what exactly was taking place. So we as men and young men have a problem sometimes opening up and sharing our inner thoughts and our inner feelings because it makes us feel like we're weak or we can't handle problems or situations. Well, sometimes that burden is too much for us to bear on our own shoulders. So express your feelings to someone, not to your peers or someone that, yes to your peers, but not to individuals that of your same age, but express them to adults that can give you constructive advice. I still seek advice even though I'm a grown man now, but I talk to folks that are much older and much wiser than I am in times of trouble, and it seemed to have worked pretty well for me in helping me get through some difficult times. You know, one of the things that I'd like to take place is for these young students to get a message out of this, to learn something, to take something of value that's said and apply this to their day-to-day routine, day-to-day activities, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the football field, or in other circumstances. You know, when I look and I reflect back on my life and my upbringing, I try and apply it to what's going on with our youth today and things of that nature. And if you wanted, talking to the students, if you wanted a book to be written about you at some point in time in your life, what would you like for that book to say? What words would you like to illustrate that defines you as a person and your accomplishments that you've made over the course of your career? Well, you have an opportunity to write that book right now. Each and every day you walk, you go to class, you go to school, you interact with your teammates, you interact with other students. You have an opportunity to control the words that are being written about you. The 6 pillars are great words that I would love to have written in my book. Respectful, committed, I'm just throwing out some other words, hard worker, great work ethic. These are the things that you want to be said about you. At some point in time, great family man, always thought of others. So you're writing a book right now, whether you realize it or not, and you control what's being said in that book by your actions and the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, even at such a young age. So prepare yourself for success, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you study, the grades that you make, and your work ethic. and I guarantee you good things will happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. And the way we're going to do things here today, students, is we're going to start, we'll go one question from each school, and we'll rotate through as many times as we can. We're going to go Booker T, Uniontown, Highwood, North Tonawanda, Maury, Norview, Lake Taylor. So hopefully those schools will be getting connected as we get to them. But with that being said, a couple things I need to mention. Number one is, I encourage you to ask those thought-provoking questions about character, about how he developed his character, who he looks up to, mentors that he had in his life, whatever it might be. I encourage you to do that. But number two, one thing I want to remind you guys is keep the microphones muted till we call upon you. But also, even after you ask your question to Mr. Smith, please mute your microphone immediately afterwards so we can eliminate that background noise, because these microphones are pretty sensitive and they pick up a lot of noise. Even the slightest tap in the classroom can come through. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to go right there to the young men that are surrounding Mr. Smith right now at the table at Booker T. Washington High School. Go ahead with the first question of the program, Booker T.
Growing up in Booker T, was it hard to become a leader, or was that just something naturally that you picked up?
That's a great question. When I was growing up in Booker T, I didn't possess the confidence that I possessed 2 or 3 years after I'd gotten here. So consequently, I was bullied a lot. I was teased, talked about. So it was a maturation process for me in finding myself and who I was, and it was a process. I became a leader because of my work ethic, because of my dedication, because of my being team-oriented, team goals-oriented, and being unselfish. I wanted to win more than anything or anyone else could possibly imagine. I was telling the story a little bit earlier that I would rather have my worst enemy playing alongside of me, making the same sacrifices, making curfew, studying film, and doing the little things that will make a difference so far as the team is concerned, than my best friend playing alongside of me, cutting corners and goofing off, because ultimately it's going to hurt the team. So that started to become my mindset at an early age, and when you start thinking along those lines, putting the team before yourself, and doing those little things that helps to make the team better, because if the team is doing better, that means you all are sharing in the fame and the glory and the success and things of that nature. So you don't have to be the yelling and the rah-rah guy. A lot of times there are guys that are leading by example, which are the quiet ones, which I think I happen to be one.
Thank you. Great question to start off the program there, Booker T. Washington. And let's go to Pennsylvania, Uniontown High School. Go ahead with your question there.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. I'm Marcus Thomas from Uniontown, and my question involves citizenship and how it's lacking in our community among young people. How would you propose we begin to create a sense of this within our local community?
Wow, you guys are prepared. Good morning, Marcus. Another great question. I think that you're starting that foundation and that platform right now by participating in this program and asking questions of this magnitude. I think also when you can bring others like your friends to the table and you participate in activities that not only is beneficial to others, but it's beneficial to you as well. being a great citizen is something that you can do it quietly, or you can consciously think of it while you're doing it. Because when you think of others before you think of yourselves, that's a great quality to have. I think it's imperative, particularly in the times that we're living in right now, with the economy, with cuts to our public school systems and educational systems, that we think of others. We don't know the struggles that others are going through. And perfect example, my dear friend Junior. So when we start thinking of others and trying to be a good person and be a good friend and just trying to help others when they are going through struggles, and you may not know the struggle that they're going through, but being polite and being genuine, and there's nothing soft about that at all. Keep in mind, we're still going to be young men and things of that nature, but you're building relationships right now, and I have friends that I've known in high school, and two of them are still my best friends. We've played on the football and basketball team together. So I think it's a great question. I think that the steps you're taking right now, one is participating in this event, but consciously think of how you can improve your community, or you can have an impact on someone else and try and keep him on the straight and narrow as well.
Yeah, another great question there, Uniontown. Thank you very much. Let's go to Montana, Highwood Public Schools. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Mr. Smith. I'm Katie, and my question has to deal with respect. And it is, during a game, was it hard to keep respect for the officials even if you disagree with the call?
Good morning. There have been times I've disagreed with calls. I've disagreed with my head coach on occasions. I've disagreed with a number of different individuals that have been in my life, but respect is one thing that has to remain constant. You can disagree, but you can respectfully disagree. You always want to talk through your issues and not let them boil to the extent whereas you become aggressive. You take them out of context, and there's a physical confrontation. Always use your head first and foremost. I rarely got into physical altercations when I was growing up because my parents taught me to think first before you react. Unfortunately, there are a lot of situations now where it's totally the opposite. But I didn't often agree with referees' calls, but they're human and they make mistakes too. If you talk to them with respect, they usually give it in return. And if you're polite to them, they may come back and give you a makeup call. So that's the way I always approached it.
I like that you said when they're wrong. So you've never been wrong in your assessment of the referee's call, huh?
Absolutely. Hey, but it's not holding unless you get caught.
That's right. So, let's go ahead. Let's go to the huge Bruce Smith fans there in North Tonawanda.
Hi, Mr. Smith. My name is Corey Miss, and my question is, who has been your greatest mentor or influence in your professional life?
Good morning, Corey. I've had a number of individuals. First and foremost, my mother and father, because of the values and morals and lessons that I was taught at such a young and critical age, the work ethic that was taught, and I watched on a day-to-day basis, going to work from sunup to sundown, That's why oftentimes I tell our youth and young adults, be careful who you select as your idols and things of that nature. Because if you really want to see someone to look up to, you need not look any further than in your own home. The sacrifices that your parents are making, going to work, providing, you need not look any further than in your own classrooms, with your teachers, your coaches, your guidance counselors. You see, we as professional athletes are only in your life a small amount of time. But these are individuals that affect your life on a day-to-day basis constantly, sometimes all day long. We, on the other hand, you see us for 3 hours out of the day, or occasionally out of a week, and occasionally doing interviews and things of that nature. I don't think that truly qualifies as someone to be an idol or idolize. I think you can certainly look up to us in some of the qualities that we possess and our work ethic and accomplishments and things of that nature. But I think our true idols are folks that affect us on a day-to-day basis, that can influence you and help shape you and mold you into becoming a great citizen, into becoming a successful person. And success is not only measured by the amount of money that you make, but the impact that you have on your community as well. And often there are two other people that were very influential to me when I was growing up, which were my high school football and basketball coach, Cal Davidson and Zeke Avery.
Great question so far to start off the program. And I'll just double check to make sure, did Maury, Norview, or Lake Taylor, did you guys get connected? If you're there, I'll give a second. And
Lake Taylor's there.
Sure.
Oh, they're there?
Oh,
They're there.
Who's that?
Lake Taylor, I think.
Lake Taylor? Okay. If you want to go ahead with the question for Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Yeah, Lake Taylor's on.
Okay. Do you want to ask Mr. Smith a question about character or anything like
sure.
that? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Either
Go
way.
ahead.
Hello, Mr. Smith. My name is Nari Coney from Lake Taylor. Our question is, what was your best football memory while you were at Booker T?
Wow. Good morning. I used to attend Lake Taylor Junior High, so I've been all over the city of Norfolk attending public schools here, and that's why I'm so connected with the city of Norfolk and the plight and struggles that our youth are having on a day-to-day basis. My fondest memory, there weren't very many memories that were fond because we didn't have we didn't have any winning seasons. If I recall, we were a pretty average team. The most memories that I do have, and the most fondest, were from our basketball team, where we were state champions a number of times and runner-up state champions. But it was just the experience of playing with a group of guys that had a common goal, and it was hard work, and it built character. Two of the guys that I used to play with here at Booker T are still my best friends. So the relationships you build now with people that have good character and goal-oriented will last you a long time, and those are some of the things that I remember.
Thank you, Lake Taylor. And I don't know if you set in on it before, Lake Taylor. Just remind all the schools that just make sure to keep your microphones muted, which I think you guys have been. So just want to make sure you guys heard that. Keep muted until we call upon you. And we'll check Maury or Norview. Did you guys get connected? Maury or Norview? If not, we'll go back to the top to Booker T. Okay, Booker T. And one thing I should note to you guys, Booker T, is that Mr. Smith was very adamant when I called him to ask him if he would do this program. He was very adamant about saying, only if he could do it in Norfolk at Booker T. Washington, and so he's very passionate about going back to his alma mater. So I just thought you guys might enjoy hearing that he feels that highly of not only the school but the students that are there as well. So go ahead with your question.
How do you feel football helped teach you more about the 6 pillars of character?
Well, I think that the 6 pillars of character played a huge role in me becoming the person that I am today. You want to be respected. You want to be responsible. And I'll even throw a few more in there. You want to be trustworthy. Because in sports, if the coach calls a play, I have to trust that my teammate is going to be where he's supposed to be on that particular play. Just like he has to trust that I'm going to be in that particular position when that play is called. So trustworthy, respect, responsibility, being responsible, caring, and citizenship all play a role. Now also work ethic, your commitment to your teammates and to the game, respecting the game. There are just so many intangibles that go along, and you may not see it now, but the decisions that you make today are going to affect your life 10, 20 years from now. And it's important that you understand that, and that's why I was talking about this book a little while ago. You're writing a chapter or a paragraph, a chapter in your book right now. And how do you want it to be written? When you apply for a job at some point in time, will you need someone to speak on your behalf? When you have that resume, graduated from Booker T. Washington High School and such college, maybe they want some references and things of that nature. Is he dependable? Is he accountable? Is he responsible? Is he a team player and things of that nature? So it was imperative for me growing up to exhibit all of these qualities to make me the person that I am today.
Thank you very much. Another great question, Booker T. And perhaps you guys can convince Mr. Smith that you can put him down as one of your references in the future. We'll see. That'd be a good reference to have on your resume. So let's go to Uniontown.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. My question is about you being an alumni at Virginia Tech. Having attended Virginia Tech, did you play any role, and if so, in what capacity, in the healing process there after the shootings in 2007?
Well, I played a role vocally and certainly emotionally. Being a spokesman for Virginia Tech and being an alumnus, probably, I don't know how you want to categorize them or list them, one of two most popular people that have or well-known people that have come out of Virginia Tech athletically. We have a responsibility to be a part of Virginia Tech and speak on behalf of Virginia Tech. It was certainly a horrible situation and a horrible tragedy, but it's one that we continue to heal from. It's one that we'll never forget about. But at the same time, it's disturbing that someone could get to that point. Having said that, my son has actually just been awarded a scholarship to attend Virginia Tech and play football this year. So I have no issues with the safety at that particular university. They've done everything they can to improve that, and to make sure this is a safe and productive and constructive and educational environment. And I'm looking forward to spending quite a bit of time there this year and watching him play.
And can you tell him, as a freshman, how big is your son?
He's about 6'2.5", 290. He's a senior. He's a senior in high school, right? He graduates next year. I'm sorry, in June. In June.
And Dad still beats him on the basketball court, right?
Not with these knees.
All right. Thank you, Uniontown, and let's go to Highwood, Montana.
My name's Adrian, and my question is, how did you feel when the game was on the line and it was not in your control?
Well, and good morning. Well, the only way the game is not in your control is when you're not on the field. But if you think about it, even if you're not on the field, the game was in your control at some point in time. Maybe there's 2 minutes left. Well, there were 58 minutes before that. Did you prepare yourself? Did you pay attention to details? Were your off-season workouts to the extent that they should have been? Were you eating right? Were you conditioning right? Were you doing the little things that makes a difference in that 58 minutes before those last 2 minutes? And that's just like with school, preparing for a test. You don't study the last day of the test, the last day before the test. You prepare yourself by starting to study days before the test. That helps you to become successful on that particular test. You don't ever want to wait till the last minute to say, I wish I coulda or shoulda did this. Just like in that particular game scenario that you're talking about, when you feel that it's out of your control, it's only out of your control if you didn't prepare ahead of time. Because you can change the outcome of that game. That 58 minutes, you were in control of it, whereas the last 2 minutes, when someone else is out on the field, it should pretty much be just routine that they take the field. If you prepare yourself, you can change the outcome before the last 2 minutes.
And I think if you guys just look at it as let's look at this video conference broadcast today. I mean, we've been preparing for a while for this, to make this happen. Are there still some uncontrollable factors? Hopefully I don't jinx this program. The internet could wipe out. That's one of those uncontrollable things that you can't. But with the team at Cisco and Mr. Smith and the folks at Booker T, we've tried to prepare in the weeks coming up to eliminate any possible things that could go wrong outside of some of those uncontrollable things that are out there. So I mean, it's in all facets of life. It's in all situations when you start talking about controllable and uncontrollable situations. So thank you, Highwood. Another great question. You guys I gotta tell you, these kids are asking some challenging questions of you, Mr. Smith, here today. So I love it.
They are excellent. They are well prepared.
Yep. So let's go to North Tonawanda.
Hello, I am TJ, and how did you try to get your team back into the game when you were losing?
Wow, play harder. Good morning. I can't worry about the things that I don't have control over, but the one thing that I do have control over is, I keep harping on this, is no one is going to be more prepared than I am. No one is not going to be in better condition that I'm in. And so when I walk out on that field, those factors or those variables that I have control over, I take those out of the equation. They all of a sudden give me the confidence to go out there and make me feel that I'm going to be successful. See, the off-season workouts, the studying of the film, being the first one in to study film, so I can get a head start on the next opponent we're getting ready to play. Eating the right foods and doing the little things helps to give me the confidence to go out there and be successful and have this mindset that no matter what they do, they double or occasionally triple team, they're not going to stop me from getting to the quarterback. But if they contend to do all of that, that means someone else is going to be left free, or they're going to be single blocked, and they have to take advantage of that opportunity. So it's paying attention to details and doing the little things that others won't do that will set you apart from the average.
Thank you very much, North Tonawanda. Let's go to Lake Taylor High School.
Go ahead. Hello, Mr. Smith. I'm Jalen Holmes from Lake Taylor.
Good morning,
My question
Jalen.
is, how did it feel when you played in the Super Bowl?
Oh, man. That's a rush like no other. It's reaching the pinnacle of a team sport, being able to play in a Super Bowl. It's all of your efforts and your dedication and your commitment and hard work, your blood, sweat, tears. That's what it's all about. Very few people have an opportunity to make it to a Super Bowl, let alone make it to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So you have to cherish those moments, but it's a process, and it requires hard work, commitment, and dedication, sacrifices beyond the wildest of imaginations, overcoming injuries, overcoming adversity. I remember one Super Bowl that we went to. We had to overcome the largest deficit in football history. We were losing to the Houston Oilers 35-3 at halftime. 35-3. And defensively, we came out with the mindset that they were not going to score another touchdown. We ended up winning that game, I believe, by a field goal. So the feeling of playing in a Super Bowl or in moments like that, the greatest comeback in NFL history, is it's just a rush that you never will have an opportunity to experience unless you're in a like situation where it's playing in a World Series or an NBA championship or some other type of venue. But it's an incredible feeling.
And we'll have to, since we'll be recording this, we'll have to send that little answer that you had there to Warren Moon, who was the losing party on the quarterback end for the Houston Oilers. So we'll have to play that to him.
Well, actually, there was another gentleman from Norfolk by the name of William Fuller, who's from this area, who was playing for the Houston Oilers at the time, and we're pretty good friends to this day. So I know some folks, and we don't talk about it, but it's within their minds.
And actually, students, I don't know if you realize Frank Reich, who was the quarterback at that time, well, he wasn't, Jim Kelly was the quarterback, but Frank Reich was the one that led that comeback on the offense, been the quarterback, but he not only led the largest comeback in the NFL, but the greatest comeback in college football history as well. So Frank's got some magic, huh?
Yeah, that he does.
So let's go back to the students there at Booker T.
What advice would you give young athletes about having a better character?
What advice would I give athletes about having better character? Wow, you guys are on point this morning, or this afternoon now. The advice that I would give you is a lot of that exists within the six pillars of character. I think there are certainly things that exist. If in doubt, don't do it. If you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, it's usually a good thought or a good thought process to leave that situation, because there's nothing any worse than being at the wrong place at the wrong time and you didn't do anything. Try and associate yourself with individuals or young adults that are goal oriented. Stay away from the street corners and hanging out and just thinking that's the thing to do to waste or kill time. Just be around constructive and positive people. And I'm not saying don't be a teenager. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy life. But remember, the decisions that you make today will affect your life for the next 10, 20 years and the rest of your life. And it's critical right now because you have control of your destiny. You don't want to place that in someone else's hands. And oftentimes, because of peer pressure, we get caught up, and that's when the court systems come into play, and things of that nature, and you don't want to have that take place. Remember, you're writing this book about your life. How do you want it to be read? What words would you like for people to speak about you? You want them to say he's dependable, he's accountable, he's respectful, he's caring, he thinks about others, he's a great citizen. These are all qualities that you want to possess, and you want people to say when they call out your name.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another great question. Let's go to Uniontown. Uniontown?
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. My name is PJ. What was the main characteristics needed to keep your team of the early 90s focused, and was it shared responsibility?
Good morning, good afternoon, rather. The main characteristics to keep our team focused. You know, one thing about our team during the course of my tenure, we had individuals that were self-motivated. We had a great coach in Marv Levy, and he was a great motivator, and he used to tell war stories to get us pumped up and things of that nature. But I don't know if I've ever been around a collective group of guys who wasn't more self-motivated than our team. The Darryl Tallies, the Jim Kellys, the Thurman Thomases, and Frank Rice, and Cornelius Bennett's. It came from within. And see, when you have something that comes from within, that makes it that much more powerful. We didn't have to get a rah-rah speech or having somebody yell in the locker room or some outside influences, because we were self-motivated. We ate, drank, and slept football. Not only that 6 months that we played during training camp and the end of the season, but during the off season, by staying in shape year-round as opposed to 6 months out of the year. You see, it's a lot easier to stay in shape than it is to get in shape. And even as adults or young adults that aren't playing football or any other type of sports, you want to keep yourself motivated, mind, body, and soul. Keep yourself healthy. Run, work out, be active. Don't just lay around and just become one of those couch potatoes and things of that nature. And be active. It stimulates the mind and the body, and the soul aspect of it. You need to get that spiritually. But these are all important factors that will help you to become a person that's confident, a person that has his own mind and thinks on his own, that makes wise and healthy decisions. But in that locker room, we had a group of guys that was so self-motivated. That's why we were a special team.
And I can tell you guys, we just had Coach Levy in not too long ago for a program, same series, Heart of a Hall of Famer. And one of the questions that the students asked was about what was his halftime speech when they came back from that 35-3 deficit. And they were expecting to hear that Coach Levy gave this, as Mr. Smith said, a rah-rah, type of speech. He said he didn't really say anything, I mean, just a few things here and there. And it verifies exactly that they were self-motivated and came back in the greatest comeback in NFL history. I am surprised you don't have a few Churchill quotes to share with us today, as many times as that's been repeated throughout your NFL career. But let's go to Highwood, Montana, Highwood Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and during games or practice, did you ever get upset with your teammates, and how did you handle that situation?
That's a great question. My teammates and I, when you have a nucleus like that together, and that bond has been formulated, and it's just like a normal family setting. There would be times we would have arguments. I remember I would get in an argument or two with Cornelius Bennett, and we wouldn't speak for a week. But when we got out on the football field, we put all of that aside. After the game was over, we wouldn't speak for another week. But it's a part of life. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have arguments. It's how you handle those disagreements and arguments that will help you mature as an adult and as a person, and you learn from those experiences, and you learn to forgive and to forget. I'm sure you have a brother or a sister or what have you, and you may wake up one day and she's done something or he's done something, and you say, that's not right. I don't like you right now. And it happens in the locker room as well, but you learn to get over them. You put those things past you. You grow together as individuals, and you just become adults and more responsible and more caring, and that's what makes this atmosphere of being a teammate so special.
Thank you, Highwood. We've got time for probably two more questions and then some closing remarks, so we'll go with North Tonawanda and then Lake Taylor after that.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. How did you feel when you broke the all-time sack record while playing for the Washington Redskins?
Wow. I never dreamed in my wildest imagination that I would break the all-time sack record. It didn't come to my attention that I had a chance until probably my 15th year. And even at that point, I had the naysayers, and there were one or two that I had actually played with in previous years. They said, well, Reggie's got the record. You're not going to break it. We know you're going to get close, but it is what it is. Well, I took that negative energy or their pessimistic view of what was going to happen in the future, and I used it to fuel me. But my first goal was that I wanted to win. You see, with winning means you're going to be successful. And when you're successful in winning, good things happen to everyone. So I continued to work extremely hard and diligently during the off season, during the season, studying, preparing, knowing my opponent better than he knew himself. And that's what put me in a position to be able to break that all-time sack record. My teammates were phenomenal. My teammates in Buffalo, my coaches in Buffalo, and then on to the Washington Redskins. I think some of my teammates wanted to see that record being broken. To be honest with you, more than I did. And when that day finally came, it was a euphoric feeling. It was a feeling that I had never experienced before. It's quite an accomplishment in the 90-year history of the game, 90-plus year history of the game. No one has recorded that many quarterback sacks in the history of that game. So while oftentimes I don't think about it unless someone brings it up, it is an extraordinary accomplishment.
And it may be years before that, and may never. Who knows? It may be years before that's broken. So let's go to, last but definitely not least, let's go to Lake Taylor there in Norfolk to close out the program with the last question.
Hello, Mr. Smith. I am Brandon Moore from Lake Taylor. Our question is, what kept you on the road to success?
Good afternoon, Brandon. What kept me on the road to success? I think that I was destined for success by the sacrifices that were made before me. Just as you are destined for success. Just as all of these students that are participating in this particular forum, I think you're predestined for success. Maybe it's not on the football field. Maybe it's on the basketball field. Maybe it's in the classroom. But success is not determined by the amount of money that you make. Success can be a great husband and a great father and a great parent. Success can be a great doctor, a lawyer, a school teacher, and things of that nature. But what ultimately kept me on the path is making wise decisions when I was young. And not saying that I didn't make mistakes, because I certainly did. But when I made those mistakes, there were individuals that saw more in me than I saw in myself. And they kept me on the right road. They nurtured me. They put me in an environment that would help me to be constructive and productive, and to make sure that I was headed in the right direction. I think about that quite often, living and being raised in the inner city in Norfolk, Virginia, having gone to Chesterfield Heights Elementary School, then to Poplar Halls Elementary School, then the Lake Taylor Junior High, then the Booker T. Washington High School. There were so many obstacles and challenges and adversities that I've had to overcome, and I can't even imagine the amount that you young kids have to overcome right now. But there is so much potential and success that's in your forecast. You just have to realize it. We as adults have to continue to encourage and inspire you. And with you guys making the right decisions, making wise decisions, and staying away from that negative peer pressures that can put you in an atmosphere that's not productive, it's counterproductive, I think that you have a bright future ahead of you. So I think that was a great question.
Yeah, these have been fantastic questions from all the schools, and there's been a lot of things you shared here today, Mr. Smith, and one that particularly stands out to me, and just so you students know, I don't think I share it with you guys, but I take notes throughout this. I'm only 34 years old. I am constantly learning, and if I can learn from those that have achieved success, there are definitely things I can apply to my life to help me be a better employee here at the Hall of Fame, a better father of my 2 kids, a better husband to my wife. But one thing that really stood out to me was if you're writing your book, you know, what words will be in there that describe you. I mean, that to me it's easy to visualize, but it's such a profound example. So that's one of the ones that's really going to stick out to me. But out of all the things you've shared here today with these students, is there anything else that maybe you missed or wanted to touch on with the students, or any closing remarks you'd like to share with these students?
Well, I think the closing remark I always like to share with our young adults is prepare yourself for success. You're in a position right now to shape and mold your future. Prepare yourself for success by the way you walk, by the way you talk, by the way people will remember you, the way you dress. And I know there's different atmospheres and environments, but pull your pants up. You know, there's no sense in having your pants all the way down to your knees and things of that nature. Be respectful when you're particularly in certain situations. Using all of the derogatory language and things of that nature, and I know there's times in which you can just be around the guys or the fellas or what have you, but just be careful about the things you do and the things that you say, because you have control of your destiny. And with that being said, we don't want any of these slip-ups to alter the greatness that's inside of you.
Well, Mr. Smith, on behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and our executive staff and our board of trustees, we'd just like to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day. And I know with a heavy heart, with everything that took place last night with the tragic events, it took a lot to make it out here today. So we greatly appreciate that. Let's give Pro Football Hall of Famer Bruce Smith a round of applause.